alarm rings at 5:30 every morning. You wake before the sun because your time already belongs to someone else. Your salary arrives once a month. 450,000 naira. For a few hours, your bank account feels full. Then the money begins disappearing. 120,000 naira for rent. 35,000 naira for electricity and internet. 60,000 naira for food. 50,000 naira for transportation. Loan repayments, phone bills, small subscriptions you barely notice anymore. By the second week, the balance looks painfully familiar, almost empty. You tell yourself you need a higher salary, but what you really need is more time. And those are not the same thing. Every working day follows the same rhythm. You sit in traffic for nearly 2 hours. 8 hours disappear inside meetings, emails, deadlines, and conversations that nobody remembers a week later. Another 2 hours disappear on the way home. Nearly 12 hours are traded for money before you even cook dinner. The paycheck feels like compensation, but it is actually rent. Someone is renting your time, 1 month at a time. Most people believe comfort is the reward. A larger apartment, a newer phone, a better car, a vacation once a year. Each purchase makes life slightly easier. But every upgrade quietly increases the amount of income required to keep it. Comfort expands. Freedom doesn't. Without realizing it, you build a lifestyle that costs more every year. The salary rises. So do the expenses. The race never changes. Only the scenery. Then one evening, you notice something strange. A colleague earns almost twice your salary, yet he still complains about Mondays, still checks his banking app before paying for dinner, still postpones dreams until next year. You expected wealth. Instead, you found a more expensive version of stress. That's when a dangerous question enters your mind. What if income isn't the finish line? You begin reading annual reports instead of scrolling endlessly. You learn that businesses don't simply make products. They create systems. A restaurant earns while the owner sleeps. A software company sells the same product 1,000,000 times. An index fund quietly owns thousands of businesses across the world. Money can become a worker. You had simply never hired it. The first investment feels almost insignificant. 50,000 naira. Not enough to change your life, not enough to impress anyone, but enough to change your thinking. For the first time, some of your money is no longer disappearing. It is staying behind, working, growing, quietly. Months become years. You build an emergency fund equal to 6 months of expenses. Then you begin investing 25% of every paycheck. Some months the market falls by 12%. News headlines predict disaster. Friends panic. You continue buying. Not because you enjoy losing money, because you finally understand something most people never do. Price and value are rarely the same thing. The market measures emotion. Time measures wealth. The portfolio reaches 2 million naira, then 5 million naira. Nothing about your life looks different from the outside. You still drive the same car, still wear ordinary clothes, still say no to purchases that once felt impossible to resist. People assume you're not successful. They mistake silence for scarcity. But beneath the surface, something extraordinary is happening. Every naira invested is buying back tiny pieces of your future. Years later, your investments begin generating income, dividends, interest, capital appreciation. A small rental property produces consistent monthly cash flow. Not enough to retire, but enough to pay your internet bill, then your electricity, then your groceries. One expense after another quietly disappears from your salary. The paycheck no longer carries your entire life on its shoulders. pressure begins to fade. Not because you became richer overnight, because you became less dependent. This is the moment most people misunderstand wealth. They imagine yachts, private jets, luxury watches. But the wealthiest purchase something much less visible. Choice. The ability to ignore a toxic boss. The freedom to stay home with a sick child. The confidence to reject work that violates your values. Money didn't buy happiness. It bought options, and options create peace. Meanwhile, comfort continues selling itself to everyone else. 0% financing. Buy now, pay later. Luxury apartments. Status symbols carefully designed to look like success. Every advertisement promises a better life today. Almost none of them mention tomorrow. Comfort feels immediate. Time compounds quietly. Which is why one is easy to sell, and the other is difficult to notice. Eventually, your investment income covers half your annual expenses. You no longer count the days until payday. You count the years your portfolio has been compounding. Your calendar changes. You stop planning around weekends. You begin planning around decades. The future is no longer something you fear. It becomes something you own. Then one ordinary morning arrives. The alarm doesn't ring. Not because you're on vacation, because you no longer need permission to control your day. You make coffee slowly. Watch the city wake up from your window. Millions of people are beginning another race against the clock. You quietly step out of it. Not because you escaped work, because years ago you chose to let your money learn how to work without you. In the end, wealth was never about buying bigger houses or faster cars. Those were only symbols. The real transaction was always happening somewhere deeper. Every financial decision was either purchasing temporary comfort or permanent time. Most people spend their lives making today's problems slightly more comfortable. A few spend their lives making tomorrow more free. And that is why the rich do not simply buy assets. They buy mornings that belong entirely to them. Because in the end, money is not the greatest luxury. Time is. And every wise investment is simply another way of buying it back.